Hey everyone, this is Kenji López-Alt. I'm here at home again, and today I'm going to show you how to make my 3-ingredient macaroni and cheese. You might have seen this before. Super simple recipe. Even right now, you can get pretty much all the ingredients. Pasta. You can use any shape pasta really, but, well, not any shape, but anything that's kind of short and stubby. So macaroni, shells, penne. This is 12 ounces of pasta, no, 1 pound of pasta. So I'm gonna look for around 6 ounces of pasta in there. So it doesn't really matter how much pasta you use. The only real trick is that you want the same amount of pasta to cheese to secret ingredient by weight. Secret ingredient I'll show you in a second. Just enough cold water to cover the pasta, just barely cover it, not very much water at all. Just a little pinch of salt. You don't want to salt this like you would normally salt your pasta water because it's going to concentrate and reduce. But you do want a little bit of salt in there so that the macaroni is not completely bland on its own. All right, so we're going to let that start bubbling. And meanwhile, I'm going to get my other ingredients. So secret ingredient, evaporated milk. This is important because evaporated milk has condensed milk proteins in it, and that's what's actually going to help the cheese from coagulating. So when cheese heats up, it the proteins start to tighten up, and unless there's something there to prevent the proteins from binding together, they get tighter and tighter and tighter until eventually they start squeezing out fat, and that's how you end up with sort of clumpy cheese clumps with cheese grease coming out of it. So equal parts by weight, cheese, dry pasta, and evaporated milk. Not sweetened condensed milk, evaporated milk. You don't really have to be precise. Obviously, I'm not weighing anything right now. I'm just kind of winging it. But as long as it's in that ballpark, you're gonna do fine. Little plug for Tillamook cheddar. It's from Oregon, right? Oregon? Yeah, Oregon. Good stuff. Back in here. Should we put anything in our mac and cheese today? Yeah, we can do some ham. And some peas. Frozen peas. Frozen peas are always controversial in mac and cheese. Some people dislike them. I like them. I got the kind of crappy ham right now because I didn't want to go to the fancy supermarkets where all the people still seem to not mind standing in line right next to each other. So a lot of my ingredients are kind of the local corner bodega type stuff. As long as you got a corner store, you can make this dish. A corner store and a pot and a heat source. All right. Now, what do we do while that pasta's cooking? Oh, here we go. It's already starting to boil. Stir it. I'm gonna stir it pretty regularly. Maybe we can do like maybe some, you know what, I'll answer some questions. People ask me if my name is really Kenji López-Alt. Yes, that's my name. There is no Kenji López Main. My dad's last name was Alt. His mother was Hauser, and his father was Alt. They're from Western Pennsylvania, German descent. My mother is from Japan. She moved here when she was a teenager. Her last name is Nakanishi. So my first name is James, which is my paternal grandfather's name. I never met him. He died when my father was young. My middle name was Kenji, but ever since I was little, I've gone by Kenji. And so I was James Kenji Alt for a long time, and then when I got married to my wife, Adriana Lopez, we both changed our names to López-Alt. So that's how we get J. Kenji López-Alt. When I first started becoming a food writer, my mother told me I should change my name to something that's more easy to remember, because nobody would ever remember J. Kenji López-Alt or J. Kenji Alt at that point. But I didn't, and I think I'm kind of glad I did because she did not understand how the internet works. And I guarantee there are no other J. Kenji López-Alts in the world, so it makes it very easy for people to search for my recipes. The other thing I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna show you why Barkeeper's Friend is my favorite cleaning product. And this is not an ad or product placement. I just love it, and it's a miracle, and people always ask me how I get my pans clean, how I get my steel pans clean. So if you got a steel pan, and it looks like this, which it sometimes does after you've been cooking with high heat, a little moisture, some Barkeeper's Friend, and watch this. It's pretty. It works so much better than any other cleaning product. It's not useful on all metals. It doesn't do the same job on, say, steel. I'm sorry, it doesn't do the same job on, say, aluminum. But stainless steel, I've got some tinned copper pans that it really works on. I know, are you thinking to yourself why you're watching a YouTube video of somebody washing his pans? I would be thinking that. Oops, forgot to get that side. Well, you get the idea. Look at how clean that is. I'll get the other side later. All right. Oops. Now, the water's completely dried up. Actually, it over-dried a little bit. I should have been focusing on it more, but that's good. That's fine. The pasta is not quite done, but it's getting close. And you can see that pasta water is dry. It sort of has a starchy slurry all over it from that, well, those starches that release from the pasta and then thicken up with the water. That's what's going to make our cheese sauce nice and smooth. So I'm going to add my, let me make a slightly bigger hole here. Don't do that with your real expensive knives. All right, so I think I had about 6 ounces of pasta. This can's 12 ounces, so about half a can of this. Get the heat back down a little lower now. All right. Now I'm gonna get my, oops, where's my, I don't know where my bench scraper is, so. F it, we'll do it live. All right. In goes the cheese. That's probably more than 6 ounces of cheese, but I've never heard anyone complain that their macaroni and cheese was too cheesy. So, if you've ever tried just throwing plain old shredded cheese, unless it's American cheese, because American cheese melts no matter what you do to it. But if you ever just tried throwing plain old shredded cheese into a pot of pasta or into some hot pasta, you know it becomes super goopy and stringy. It leaks out fat, it clumps. It's not really fun to eat. But when you combine it with condensed milk and the starchy reduced pasta cooking water, you can see it melts perfectly. So gooey, not clumpy, nice and smooth. Glossy, I should say. I would call it glossy. I'm gonna throw in some of those frozen peas that some of you are gonna really hate. Peas are one of these things that actually work really well frozen because they're so small. The enemy of freezing is large things. So what happens with large things is that as they start to freeze, the exteriors freeze faster, freeze before the interiors are done, and so that differential, as it slowly freezes, what happens is it creates ice crystals that can disrupt the texture of the food. So it breaks cells, breaks down plant cells, and it makes them turn mushy. But really small things like peas, corn, they work really well. And if you are gonna freeze your fresh vegetables, you could cut them into smaller pieces. If it gets a little too tight like that, a little splash of milk, a little splash of condensed milk will loosen it right up. Let me taste that. A little pinch more salt. Now I'm gonna go, I like to add just a dash of hot sauce. I'll go with Valentina today. Not enough to make it spicy, but enough to, mainly for that acid in the hot sauce, just a little bit of acid. Let's taste it again. All right, so you see how smooth, creamy that is? And if you'll notice, it takes just as long, maybe even less time. No, I guess both of them is the time it takes to cook the pasta. Just as long as, it takes just as long to make as the stuff that comes in a blue box, which I'm not hating on. I like that stuff too. It's a, you know, it's a good nostalgia trigger, but this stuff is just better, and it has a much better texture, much better flavor, because you can use real, you know, better cheese than the powder. It's got that gooiness. It's delicious. So 3 ingredient macaroni and cheese. There you go. Mm. Mm. You know, I was just thinking, in the future, maybe, since that answering questions about my name works so well today, how about you guys leave questions down in the comments, and in future videos, whenever I have a free second, I will try and answer some of those questions. They could be about anything you want, cooking, me, whatever, preferably about cooking. All right, and remember to smash, subscribe, push the button. Yeah, all right, bye.